Hi, welcome to Building SaaS with Python and Django. My name is Matt Lehman, and on this stream, we work on Django apps, Python apps, put them on the web, make them do stuff. We're going to work on my homeschooling app. Last week, we finished up a feature with my journaling application to simplify sign up. We're actually going to replicate a lot of that functionality over on this app. The app is a little bit older. It's the one that I worked on previously to my journaling project. But there's actually two components that we're going to do. We're going to simplify sign up so that we can eliminate the need for passwords. That's a big one out of that. But also, we will afterwards work to improve the actual onboarding process. I don't know that we're going to get, well, we almost certainly won't get to all of that this evening, but over the next few streams, we will work through that of making that process very simple, making it easy to get started with the homeschooling app, and so on. I guess since it's been a while since I've worked on it, let's briefly introduce the app itself in case you've never seen it before. So, and you might be joining me for the first time. So this is the app that we have. It's a homeschool planning application. We homeschool my children here at my house, and my wife uses the app. She's probably one of the primary users of the application, but it is available for others to use. And it works by setting up a school for homeschooling families, and then allows them to track the progress of students, set schedules, set courses, set tasks that the students need to do, allow for grading, all of those kind of things. By and large, we are not really going to get into the actual project itself in terms of like what it does, at least for the sign up portion of this. After we get through the sign up, there is work that I want to do that will be intimately tied to the data that is in this domain, because part of this app is that it has to have a bunch of pieces of data before it becomes useful. The app works by being a planning application that is dynamically building a schedule every day for what this families should be doing, and it's dictating, like, you said you have these tasks to do. Here's your task list for the day. But you don't really see the value of that until you've done enough work as a parent to plug in the school year, what students you have, what grade they're in, what courses they have, what tasks. So there's actually like a fair amount of setup to it. And right now I have a kind of a wizard process that takes them through step by step. But I realized that is needlessly complex. Also, the wizard setup process broke with a package update for the Django all-auth package that I'm using. So it's not even working right. And it really makes for a non-optimal experience for any homeschool family that tries this app. So the first thing we're going to do is work on the sign-up simplification, and then after that, go through that onboarding and make it so that the necessary data is in place before the actual parent gets started, so that they know immediately what the look and feel of the application is supposed to be. That's the plan. So we're going to change things around with the School Desk app here, and we want to simplify sign up. And what are we trying to simplify it to? The overall flow is the homeschool. I'm just going to call it homeschool because it's easier to. If I say School Desk, you don't necessarily know what it means. The homeschool app will work via email sign-in. This is the change we made to the journaling app last couple of sessions, where when you log in, we send you a link, and you click the link, and you actually get logged in that way. It takes away some of the complexity of dealing with passwords and is really nice in that regard. So I think that's probably enough for the actual issue that we'll work on, and then we can put down some documentation of what are the mechanical changes that need to happen to do that. In fact, we might even just lean on, like, I did a sketch here of the journaling application of what those docs were. We wrote it down, and there's probably some benefit of just saying, like, hey, let's copy some of this stuff. So here you can read about the sign up that we're going to replicate. We're going to use a lot of the same stuff. The only bit, actually, maybe this is all the same, but this is what we're kind of building, but for this different application. So let's get to it. Let's find the homeschool app, make sure it's up to date, and then we get started. So this is not the homeschool application here. We're in the wrong screen. I just rebooted this machine and have not updated since then. So let's fix that problem first. We're going to have that available, and we'll get a second terminal here. Sorry, I should have set this up before the stream. That was my bad. And we want to do this here as well. Okay, so hey John, welcome. T Nell, I see your comment question there. Do I have an opinion on using Celery versus pushing a task off to Lambda? Ooh, that's, I don't know, T Nell. I've never done the latter. For this application, well, let's take a look. I have some tasks in this app, and I'm not using Celery. Nothing big against Celery. I just found a simpler system for my application's need. But I have, with this app, a background worker, which effectively runs like Celery. It's just using a different tool. It's called Huey. Huey, one of the benefits about Huey is that I didn't need to set up a message bus that is more complicated than a file. With Celery, you need something like either Redis or RabbitMQ to do your actual message bus for allowing your app servers to talk to your background workers. And Huey can work has a third mode of brokers, or it might actually have more than that, where you can use a SQLite database file, and through some coordination there, you can read off tasks that way. So I picked Huey, but that's not really your question. You're asking about a Lambda, and that I don't know. I'm curious if you could say a little bit more about maybe what framework you're using. I think if I'm thinking about Django, so this stream is largely about Django projects, although I do teach about web development. I don't know that Django is super well suited for Lambdas. That's not to say you can't do it. And there's a project that will take a Lambda, or sorry, a WSGI application, which is what Django is under the covers, and it will convert it into a Lambda, and it begins with a Z, but I'm drawing a blank. Does anybody know the name off the top of their head? Let's see if I can find it really quickly. Python Lambda Z. Let's see if that'll come up with something. No, I was thinking like a Lambda function. Lambda serverless Z. Shoot. I'm not gonna be able to think of the name. You know what? This is a dumb way to do it. Let's do ChatGPT in Python. Zappa. Thank you, Siddharth. That is exactly what I was trying to think of and failing to do so. So Zappa is a tool that I have used, and serverless Python. So what it does is it will take a standard WSGI application, and it wraps it up and does, because the way AWS at least works with AWS Lambdas are, they essentially expect you to follow some kind of function signature interface, and so you can think of Zappa as the machinery to translate from what a Lambda needs into what a WSGI application expects to run. A WSGI application expects to run inside of a WSGI server. And when I'm saying WSGI, I'm saying WSGI. It's pronounced WSGI, almost like whiskey, but with the G sound. So it's expected to run in a WSGI server and handle requests. But a Lambda doesn't have a server, right? It's serverless. In that way, it's just handle a request as it comes in. So there's some wiring to allow a function to talk to a WSGI app. And Zappa is the thing that's doing that wiring between those two system modes. My experience with Zappa is it was pretty good. I don't know that it's getting nearly as much attention these days because it's not as common of a pattern. So that is a way that you could do this. And so I think I don't see any reason why you couldn't run like an actual a Django application, and maybe you're running your Django app on, well, maybe your Django app is also a Lambda. So TNL, like perhaps, I see another comment here. I'll read that in just a second. There's a lot of ways you could configure this. You could have a web application server constantly handling traffic on, say, an EC2 instance. So just essentially a virtual machine on AWS. Or you could do something more like a managed Kubernetes and deal with that way. So there's probably like a whole range of options for what are you trying to do to manage the complexity. Let me read your comment. Okay, more so turning Django API. Yeah. So if you're looking to really just have an API, like turn Django into an API, Zappa might be a good option here. There's also another tool that is not Python native, but I think it works with other stuff. And I believe it's called the serverless framework, just like it's eponymously named, I guess. And so I remember this one being a bit more generic. And what I don't remember is like, what's the interface that's talking over? Is it just dealing like, does it expect your app to speak HTTP and that's how it interfaces and you configure it? I don't remember. So this might be something else to explore. But caveat emptor, I literally don't know if it is compatible with Django. Actually, let's see. Is the serverless framework compatible with Django? I'm as curious as you are. Cool. Serverless WSGI. Nice. So there's something to explore for you. This is not my name. Thanks for thanks for the good luck message there. Appreciate that. Oh, John, I see your comment about Coding with Entrepreneurs has a task app that they just developed. All right, interesting. Yeah, I saw. What's his? Shoot, I'm blanking on his name. I feel terrible. I saw the guy who runs Coding, Justin's video about a comment basically of Django doesn't have a built-in background tasks feature. That's coming. There is a Django enhancement proposal that will add a native interface for doing background tasks, but it's not there yet. So it's cool that he's like working on filling the apps in the meantime. Okay, so we have our homeschool app. It does stuff right now. What do we need? Where are we going? What's critical here that's maybe left out? No, it kind of has it. So there's two things. So my journaling app was just like the homeschool app. Shocker, I'm the person who developed both. And that app was using Django All-Auth, which is a powerful authentication library, but I don't need all of that power. I'm not using social auth for these apps, and I'm just not interested in doing that. So it's like way overkill for what I want to do. And what I did with that app was I switched from Django All-Auth to this Django Sesame package. And Django Sesame works by making magic links, and magic links are things that allow you to sign in. So we're going to replicate that. I might be stealing code heavily back and forth between the projects, which will be not always the easiest thing to watch because I'm like jumping between code bases. Hopefully it'll be pretty clear. But I'd like to go a little bit quicker on this if we can, because we already have a lot of these things done. In fact, maybe what I'll do as a quick reference is go to the PR. So I did all of this code online on stream, so you can go check previous streams. I've got a whole playlist for the Journey Inbox app. And after I was done, all I had to do was deploy it, make a couple data changes, and get it out there. So this is the entire code in one branch. So we will reference this as a way to get this going. Now, there are going to be some differences with my homeschooling app. And like the differences right out the gate is this application has more entry points to get started. So the way this works today is you can click this button. So there's like a call to action here to try and get your attention, and it takes you to the sign up page. And there is another one, there's like another call to action up here, which also takes you to the sign up page. There is a third one at the bottom that takes you to the sign up page or the sign up page. They're all going to the same place. And this is different from the journaling app. So the journaling app is Journey Inbox. And the primary difference is, as you can see here, there's not like, this is the whole front page right for now. And it has one way to get in. So there's like a design element here of, do we want to change this? Do I want to change the design so that we can get started? Or do I keep the sign up page as it exists today and have people go one link to click through and then just provide their email. Maybe, I don't know. Certainly from a simplicity point of view, for having fewer modifications, it would be nicer if we just did this. And then trying to think of what I want to do here. I want to get rid of the notion of login, but then we have this free trial thing. So one thing we can do, what have I seen? So I've seen some different patterns out there. So let's just talk about my mobile carrier, T-Mobile, or Ting Mobile. I think that's the website. Ting Mobile. Yeah, that was it. Why was it being slow to load? Okay. So they kind of combine these into one step, which is sort of, but then they have extra buttons. So this is not a perfect example of what to follow, where they have a sign up activate thing. And what I'm trying to deal with is like, we will have users who want to log in. We will have also the free trial button. And so notice the messaging here is start free trial, start free trial, start free trial, which is good and enticing for someone who wants to get going. But if you are already a user, like if I dropped, like let's just pretend here for a minute, we can modify the DOM just to give just a sense of what this might look like. So I've deleted the login link. So if we just had this and you were a regular user of SchoolDesk, you might be like, where do I go to log in now? And admittedly, that's confusing. And I guess, like if we continue to monkey with this a little bit and change free trial to now free trial or / sign in, something like that. The problem is like, now we've got this like really awkward button that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So maybe what happened, or okay, so let's consider some other paths here. Maybe instead of because notice this is not a sticky header. So I'm really only getting, when you first come to this page, like refresh the page, you can see this big call to action button. And with any luck, if my visual design is effective enough, your eye is naturally drawn over here. I did do some research at the time for people that were good about like a lot of like marketing research that basically said you want your ability to sign in, your call to action to be in a bunch of places to really give people a lot of opportunities. Now, those people were like the hardcore marketing people that were like, if you mouse out of the page, you suddenly get a pop-up like as they're leaving, or you get pop-ups after a period of time. So like you can go too far with this stuff. But maybe what we should have is like, if we don't combine this all into a single like login experience and totally change this page around, which is the direction I'm leaning. So we still have a sign up page or a sign in page of some kind. Then we could do something like, I'm just thinking out loud. Sorry, that's what I do on stream, right? So the whole point is me to think out loud so you can see my process. What if we didn't change this at all? What if these went to the same place? Might be a little bit weird if somebody notices, like they hover over the link and see like, wait a minute, that's going to the same place as this. But behaviorally, what we could do is, let's go back to the Journey Inbox site for just 1 second. So on Journey Inbox, you can see here what we have is this messaging. If you already have an account, we'll log you in. For new users, by continuing, yada, yada, yada. You agree to the terms of service and stuff. So we could make this like it's still one jump to create an account, but if you go to the login page, you'll end up at this page, and you'll end up at this page, and so we could condense that into one thing, just have the email field and just do the messaging just like Journey Inbox. I think that's feeling right to me. That feels like the right way to go about this. such that I'm not going to confuse my existing users and I'm not going to confuse new users. They'll both end up at a place that maybe they were in a different headspace with what the action they were trying to accomplish, but the net effect is the same. So I think that's how I want to go. So our plan, what is our plan? Let's start writing it down. We want to replace, make a list here, replace sign up page with I was calling this earlier sign in, kind of combining sign up and log in. So with a sign in page, and point the log in link to the sign in page. So that's how this would work. Yeah, so you're right, John. Like the other thing, the other path that I was considering is we could rework this homepage, or this like landing page, and have what could we do here? If I'm talking out loud, if we wanted, because over here the form and the index page, they're one and the same. Like this is you set your email here, you click that, and go that way. Igribiero, I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name, apologies. I don't make a lot of money with this app. It's mostly it is like I view these kind of apps that I'm doing, both the journaling app and the homeschool app, as it works for me and it works for my family, and I'm happy if it works for a few others to kind of offset the cost. I have no illusion, at least at the current moment in time, that this is going to be like my full-time business. I have a day job, but I'm really the purpose of the stream is to show you all how to you could build apps if you want, and see one perspective on that. So that's where I'm going with the app right now. So getting back to this, if we had the form be in place, so you can have a form where it's like you do the kind of the box we did here, sign in, start, get going, and have that be right here. The problem is, the challenge I see with that flow is that if with these ones down here, I could either get rid of the pricing grid altogether and then have kind of like unify this somehow, but I'm not thinking of clever ways to unify this. So I think as a stepping stone, I think what I want to do is go for have the one link, go to a sign-in page, make that easy, point all these things to that link, and then if there's some future point in time where I redesign this page and find a better layout to do this, then I could. Because if you recall, or some of you haven't been on stream before, I take a lot of this inspiration from Peter Levels, who has his projects here. So here's one of his projects, and you can see he just has his is more about selling it on these pages. I'm curious, does he have a second login page at the bottom? Let's find out. Or is it just an endless scroll? Nope. Peter's the man of that, exactly. Looks like, what's he doing? Oh, he just takes you back to the top. There's a clever strategy there's an option. So maybe I have the links, those bottom links could take you to the top, and then what would we do? Okay, this is now getting interesting. If we had this one box here that is the login, start, tells you no credit card required, has all the right messaging here, and is a little bit of a form here, and then you take him to the top instead of to a different page. I'd want to do some kind of visual flash here when it gets to the top of boom, this is what you need to do, because I fear somebody be like, yeah, I want to do that, and then they're like, why am I back at the top of the page when I got here? That could be bad. So that feels like an optimization. So let's do this as like a two-step process. Like first, let's get the simplified sign up. Let's use the a sign in page for now, and then if I come back, I can make it like a secondary issue, because really my focus here is like simplify the sign in process. But also remember, on the other side of the sign in process, if you're a new first user, there's a crappy like onboarding experience, and I really want to get to correcting that, because that feels more interesting to me than nailing this. Because I do have some amount of people that will click this stuff and they will sign in, but I think I'm losing people on the other side because the onboarding is not great. Also, homeschooling families are, let's just put it this way, they are very cost conscious. So actually getting people to stick around and use the app has been proven to be hard, which is why I'm not like, to the earlier comment about how much money could I be making. If you want to make a SaaS product that is wildly successful from a financial perspective, probably don't target homeschool families. That's just the reality. Okay, let's get to it. So we've got the 2 pages that we want. We need Django Sesame. We need to remove Django All-Auth. And there's probably a bunch of bits that I forgot from the PR. So let's look at the commits that are here. Yeah, we needed a sign-in form, background job. Verification. Verification might be different with this one. We might actually need that, because yeah, we just might not need that. Log out, prompt, session age. Yeah, we definitely need that one. Update the session age to 1 year. Okay, so those are probably that's enough of like things to go do. Let's go do. So jumping over to the app, first thing we're going to need Django Sesame. So we've got, this app is using UV. Oh, there's a lot of files there. We're using UV, so we can do UV add Django Sesame. That's going to be the tool that will give us our magic links. No, what is it doing? My virtual environment must have been quite out of date, I guess. Okay. So Django Sesame gets added there. Django Sesame was not a Django app. We didn't have to add that to the list of installed applications. It's just like a set of tools we could use, which is really nice. And let's get rid of the Zappa link. We're done with that stuff. Done with here and here. Yeah. Okay. So let's take a peek at some of the things we needed. We modified the core view. This is where we put the actual form. We made a form that essentially we're on the index page. We made the form, and so we have to like gut the sign up page or replace the sign up page. That's probably step 1. Let's do this by like a little bit like UI driven development here of let's make a new sign in page and then point one of those entry pages on the home page to that, so that give us a place to look, get the template of the sign up page over, modify it to represent what it's going to be in this new view, and so on from there. I do want to put this on a separate branch because I don't have any need to merge this until it's needed. So we'll call this we'll just call this sign in. That's a fine branch name. And yeah, let's look at the project URLs files to get started. So what out of this, I'm not going to delete the accounts. So all auth URLs are coming from here right now. And I don't think I need to delete that. Right now, what I just need to do is I'm going to have this sign-in page. Where we're going to put it, we can, I think the right, if we're going to be in a separate place, we don't need to put this in the index page, which is different from the Journey Inbox app. So where should it go? I think maybe, well, we have just our accounts URLs. Why don't we just put one right at the root? Why not? Let's put it here. How about this? Path, sign in. I'm done with trailing slashes. I'm not going to bother with that. Talk about that in other places. And then we'll do sign in, which is a view that doesn't exist yet. That's okay. We'll create that. And we'll say sign in is going to be the name of the view. All right, so where is this going to come from? We do have an accounts app here, and it does have some views in it already. The views that are currently in here, come on, hold on. I meant to do a vertical split. The views that are in here are more about payments stuff, working with Stripe, getting sent to the right place. So that's what's in here at the moment, and that's fine. We can leave all this. I don't need to touch that stuff. We're going to have our sign-in page, and this page will be, anyone will be allowed to use this page. So I'm using Django Denied, a package that I wrote, and the way that package works is it has some decorators which basically set the authorization for every view. So we want to go to from denied decorators. We want to import allow. That's where that decorator is. And then we want to create our sign in view, which will take a request. And then for the moment, we'll just put a pass there for a second. So here's our starting view that we're going to hook into over here. And if I can write this again, will it? Oh, I haven't imported. So we want to do now from homeschool accounts, views, import, sign in. So we now have a sign in view available to us. It has a name of sign in, and we're all set there. Let's take a peek back here. We want to have a form eventually. So essentially all this code. I probably should just have the Journey Inbox app up to steal this code. Do I want to do this, steal it directly? No, I think it's just a common pattern. I don't think we need to do that. So we're going to have essentially a common form pattern here, and we don't have the form yet, but we know that we're going to want to render a template. Let's just do some error-driven development, something that I commonly do. So we're going to return stuff that we know doesn't exist. So return render request, and it's going to be accounts sign in is the name of the template that we're going to have. That doesn't exist yet. Let's make a context dictionary, and we will create our context dictionary here. I don't know that we're actually going to need context. Oh yeah, we will. We will need, at the very minimum, we'll need some kind of form to put in the context. Okay, so we now have a page. It's not going to work, but we can run, get Honcho started here and get the app running. So we should have the app on port 8000 at this point. And we should be able to see this. But we haven't hooked this up to anything anywhere yet, right? So let's do that. We want to go to, I guess it's in the base. So here's the base template. We have the title bar and, oh no, that's the head section, sorry. We have, did I put this in nav or sub nav? What did I do? There might be multiple places that I have this. Shoot. Because notice there's a white one here, and then when we actually, most of the pages, it's the inverse of this, where it's white and there's a blue header bar. So I think that might be why there's two navs. I don't remember. So let's take a look at the index template and see if there's a different nav block. Okay. So I have a different nav block, but it's using the same nav, and I apparently had some different options to pass into it. So it tells me that at the very least we need to go to the nav block, which is where we will find stuff. We've got some things in here for different colors. And what we want to go to is, where's login? It's hiding. I'm sorry. Like I can't even see it, and it's behind that well, you all are staring at behind my head. So let's put the template on this side. There we go. Okay, so here is where login is. What is this else? Oh, if it's hijacked. Nope. If it's... So if you're already logged in, if you're the staff user, you're not going to see this other stuff. Is that right? How this is? I'm having a hard time visually seeing. We've got this if else, this one. Okay, so this is lining up. Okay, there it is. So if you're not authenticated, okay, that's what I expect. If you're not authenticated, you're going to see some links here. So what we want to say is, actually I said earlier, we want to keep both of them. So instead of account login, we want to have sign in, and we want to do that in both places. So goodbye, sign up, and hello, sign in, I guess. So let's refresh this, and now we can see this goes to sign in. This also goes to sign in. Great. Going over here, we still have this going to sign up, so we can actually, I want to keep that page for reference to see the style. We'll copy this over in just a moment. So if we click on this login, it's going to blow up in our face. It's going to say, like, what are you talking about? There's no sign-in template. Totally not a shocker. So let's create one. Let's go to templates and go to the accounts section. I'm going to take a detour and stop at the sign up template and copy it all. And we'll go up. Now notice there's an account and accounts. Account is the name of the place to do template overrides for Django all auth. Accounts is the name of my templates that I have for my app. So we'll call this sign in HTML. We will paste this in, and that should be enough to like render in what we would expect here. But now we're in a position where we can start modifying what's there. So let's take a look at how to do that. So this will be sign in. That'll be the title. We have, okay, I've got this feature. We'll keep the same flag name. I don't want to rename the flag. That's fine. So I have in this app the ability to turn the sign-in flow on and off. Like if there was a problem with that I was having the sign up and I wanted to turn it off, I could do that. Rob, hello, welcome. Working on simplifying sign up in my app. So we want to change the title here. Where's the other name? I had this, I totally had this somewhere. There's sign up right here. Where is that? Sign, there it is. Okay, I don't know why I wasn't seeing that. Okay, so we've changed these things. They're now indicating this. Here's where we start modifying the form. So we want to get rid of the password. We don't need the password. So we will have sign in. We will have this block for the email errors. We have the error handling. Gosh, this stuff is probably could stand to be cleaned up, but it's been robust. So I want to get rid of the password and its error section. Then there's field errors, all that sort of stuff. So we've got this now. The call to action doesn't feel right anymore. Igor, yes, I did opt for doing these manually because of Tailwind. So this app is probably as a bit of context, this app is like 4 years old, 5 years old. It's getting up there in age. And at the time, so if you've been watching recent Django developments, Django added the ability to take the built-in like form widget rendering and let you customize that very directly. And that would have been cool if I had started my app. But when I started this app, that feature wasn't available. So I did some like custom rendering stuff of my own. I have little helpers here and there to render some elements of a form. I don't think this is also one of my oldest pages on this. I created the sign up process really early on in the app. I don't even know if I used the necessary things that I wanted to here versus my other form handling. So this is one of the challenges of dealing with an app for a long period of time. You deal with the development as it was at some point in history. And so if to be economical about your time, you kind of accept, or I've chosen to, I'll speak for myself, I've chosen to accept that there are times where I want to keep what's there. There are times where I want to refactor and clean it up. But it's mostly been just happily chugging away. So I'm happy to leave it kind of as is. So, and part of this process, my goal here, my objective is not to clean up all the form. My objective is to simplify the functionality for my users. So I don't think I'm going to be trying to refactor this all into something a lot cleaner. So the call to action is start my free trial. And that made sense if that was true. And so I guess there's two views I could have here. One is I could say you could observe that the call to action here is start journaling. So it's treating you as if you're the first time user here. And then it says, if you already have an account, we'll log you in. Maybe that's the best way to go. Just like leave it that way. Adapt, like make it preferential for people who are new. But if you're not new, there's a little nod to be like, just click this, you'll be fine. So that could be okay. So although there's a difference here, the difference here is the nature of the call to action is fundamentally different. In the journaling app, it says start journaling. So start doing the core action of the app. And over here, it's start to receive a benefit. Start my free trial. That is not the same, like it's not the same dynamic. So I would fear that if you were a returning user, you might think, do I get another free trial if I sign in? I can see how what I'm trying to optimize for a little bit is avoiding any support requests that might want to come in out of this. So it doesn't feel right anymore. So maybe let's change the message to, let's play with some things. Start, what do I think I say right on the main page, it is simple planning. So maybe what if we just did start planning? It's not quite as much of a hook as the other one, but if you're already a user, it feels fine. The other bit about this is it's going to be confusing is that there's this message of your 60-day free trial awaits. I think I'm okay leaving that. So even if you are an existing user, the people will be like, okay, this was me when I started. This doesn't apply anymore. So once we add this extra messaging here by replicating this text, so the first thing, let's just put it in there, see that there's two of them. Then let's adjust the top margin here to be something smaller, maybe 4. How does that look? Well, it's going to look weird until I get the text right. So let's change the text to, what did I say on the other one? I'm going to use the same verbiage. If you already have an account, we'll log you in. Actually, in fact, copy, paste. Bingo. Okay. So how does this look on that other page. Oh, boo. I don't like that. I don't like that it doesn't fit. Let's go slightly wider on the, we're on the extra small, max width small. Is it SM? Yeah, small. There we go. Okay, so it's a little bit wider. Get an email field. Doesn't feel too wide. Feels pretty good. And then I did have a slight language change. So here it says by continuing. This one says for new users. And I think that's right. I feel like I want to say the right meaning. So for new users, by continuing, whoops, refresh the wrong page. For new users, by continuing, you agree to, then we get this crappy wrapping behavior. Boo. What if we put a break in there? You agree to force a break. You agree to school desks. What does this look like mobile? I don't think I ever designed the app for mobile, so maybe it doesn't matter. Yeah, that works. This looks like trash, but that'll go away. Okay. The app is definitely not internally designed for mobile, so I'm okay with not spending a ton of time optimizing for the mobile experience. So now we've got this this new sign-in page, and we need to check out. What do we need to check out? The where's it going? So it's going to do a post. Notice there's no action specified. So that means it's going to do a post to the same view, the same route that it's on. So it's going to post to sign in, which is what we want. So this is where we need to now, like if we do this right now, if I post here, it's just going to re-render the page. That's all it's doing. Like it didn't seem like anything happened, although I guess maybe that was an HTML validation. So testing at somewhere.com. Okay, something like that. Click this, and where did it go? It didn't seem like anything happened, but the reality is it did happen. I don't think we could even see it there. t@t.com. Now she sees some network traffic. So it did the post, and the post behavior is behaving like a get. It's just rendering. So there's no qualifier here on this view of what HTTP methods it accepts. So the post request comes in, and even though the method is post, we don't care. We're returning HTML content. So that's work to be done. But I think in terms of the actual view behavior, this is done. There's nothing really left to do. So we've got sign in. Tells you to do your email. Now let me pause and have an eye up for, does this look like I want it to look like? Maybe not. Maybe so. Like over here, I did like a single column, and then if you are on the smaller size, it wraps. And it's kind of nice in that it's shorter. This looks a little weird, but maybe the differences, what are the differences? Like this is smaller, but how big, like if I'm typing my email address at gmail.com, well, that fills up about a good chunk of it actually. And maybe people on average have this much, so maybe this is the appropriate to keep it that way. With the app, so what you can't see is the forms that are on the other side is kind of the confirm buttons are in the bottom right. So this sort of sets the precedent right away. The other thing I guess we could try just briefly, just to see how it would look, would be to put this in the center. So if we said, what's the easiest way to put this in the center? MX Auto, will that work? Oh, okay. So it still thinks it's a post request. That puts it in the center. It feels a little weird, frankly, to me, because it's got this centered button, but then it has the like left aligned text and the left aligned form widget. So I don't think I like that. I'd rather be explicitly like, here's one side, here's the other. I suppose the other way to do this, we could do is doing the end because we have justify end. What if it was on the other side? This also looks a little strange because now it feels sort of the term in book publishing is called ragged. So this is a ragged right edge, and visually it just doesn't feel right to me. I think I want to keep it. I don't know. Maybe those justifications are bad all around, and you don't buy it either way. I don't think there's a perfect solution here, and I'm not like some amazing UX designer. So somebody who has a deep design experience can be like, "You're being dumb. You should just do this all around, and it would look way better." But I'm limited in what I can do. The other thing I could think of is like we could center the button and then also center the text, but I just think it's gonna look strange. Let's try it just for a moment. So if we did MX Auto, that was an easy way to center the button, and then text center. Will that work? That worked there and there. It's okay, but it gets like this wobbly text thing, and people are, I don't think we're so accustomed to reading books that when you see this kind of in and out text, I think I just don't think that it's visually appealing, and I think we're accustomed to seeing like left aligned text. But I don't want to do that either. Let's return it here, and at least it tells me I've thought about it, and while it's imperfect, and there's probably a better way to represent this sign-in page, like by entirely redoing it, that this is going to communicate well enough and hit all the highlights. You just need your email and then get going. Okay, so I think we're done with the actual like all of the UI for this whole flow. There's one more page that we'll need, is like after you sign in, and I think I already have this page. In fact, we can probably recycle it. So there is, where is it? I think it's called verification sent. Yeah, so we will use this template, which I'll show you later. It has a big email icon and some text to check this. We'll rework it to be clearer for this context. Okay, so let's move on to the next piece. What does this piece need to do? It needs to have a flow that has a form, and the form needs to validate that you have a real email address. If you aren't even sending in a real email address, then you're not going to get very far. You're certainly not going to send a valid login link or create a valid account. So we want to have that as the process. The way to do this is, I think, where do we want to put this? Okay, before we get here, let's go. We want to create a new form, and there's no reason for me to like create this from whole cloth. This is a good opportunity to steal from the other app. So let's create a forms file, and let's go over here and get the journal code, and we'll go to accounts forms and steal this form wholeheartedly. Like nothing about this needs to be unique and different. So we have a sign-in form. We don't have the generate magic link task yet, so that's not going to work. Yeah, all this stuff is fine. So let me explain it since we're here. Aeroporto, why don't I add type annotations? I have found Django is an old enough framework that type annotations just tend to get in the way. In fact, on this project, I had what's it called? The type, whatever the common type annotations package is for Django, and had this with MyPy and all configured, and it caused more problems than it solved. I'm not against type annotations. This particular method, I mean, the type annotation would be virtually useless. It would add none. So what's the point there? I'm not saying that type annotations are without benefit, but I just found that it didn't work very well. But it's a good question. So I've gone through a cycle on this one where I was swung heavily to type annotate everything and try and add type annotations, and then I just found that I was fighting the annotations, and I wasn't adding the real value for the app. It was slowing me down. So when I do strategically have some annotations in here, so actually happy to show some for a moment. So if we look at the model, say like the student models file, I think I have some. There will be some, like you can see them here, and that will be useful when I want to actually use some of the methods on there, and I want some hinting available from my language servers protocol tooling to actually like tell me what methods I can call on a certain function. The other time that I use it, that I found it to be useful, maybe is not in this chunk of code. But anytime you can have an optional return, so where you'd return none or the type, I have found that is one of those times where type annotations actually do have some value, where I can specify that, then the type checking tools can see like, hey, don't forget about handling none here, so that I will reach for that commonly. Okay, let's walk through this though. So we have a very simple form. It has an email field, and it pulls out the email field. This save method is going to conventionally only be called after doing form is valid. And form is valid is what populates the cleaned data dictionary-like field. So there's a constraint there that we'll just take that and run with it. So we will pull out the email field, and then we'll use a get or create on the user object and look for that user record from that email address. And this is important because when we actually generate a magic link later using Django Sesame, it wants to have a user record to work from. So we will call a task with the user ID. Our function later will actually pull that out. Janae, welcome. And we will then be able to send the magic links that logs in the user. What I'm going to do differently, because we're going to remove Django all-auth, the way Django all-auth was working is that when you would create an account, it would generate a username based off their email address. I'm not going to show and I don't in the app currently anyway, ever show the user's username. Instead, I show their email address, if anything. I'm realizing there's one place where that will bite me when I'm doing. Sometimes I have a feature to do some user hijacking. If a customer ever reports and says like I have this weird problem, can't figure it out, and I don't have enough information from Sentry, I have the ability to do a session hijacking and like go to the page and try and like replicate it as if I was them. Every time I do that, which I've only done like 2 or 3 times, I've been very clear of like, hey, is it okay if I log into your account and poke around and take a look at this? Because I think privacy matters. It's not like something I casually do. Oh, cool, Janae. I'm glad you enjoyed the book. Glad it was useful to you. So anyway, that hijacking feature does currently display the username like as I'm logged in as them, and it will then show a UUID 4 in place of that, which isn't going to be useful, but that's fine. So this default stuff is only, this is for the person is creating their account for the first time, and we have to create a record, and it has to have a username field. So I'm populating it with just a dummy value here, basically, that is going to be unique for any user. So there's virtually no chance of conflict. So that's what our form is going to look like. And then once we're ready, we'll come back in and we'll actually pull in the generate magic link thing. We'll copy that too, but we're not ready to do that yet. So let's go back to the views file, and here's where we're going to, well, I guess we could steal from the views here. So here's basically the code that we care about. We have this chunk of code that we'll put right here. So we will pull from our form. So we'll say from forms import sign in form. So that will resolve that import. And then when the method is a post, remember there were two ways this was getting called. There was the get request when somebody just clicks the link, but also when somebody clicks the button, the start planning button, that's when the method is going to be a post. So when it's a post, we're going to get out the post data. We're going to validate the form. So this becomes, when we pass in the post data, it's a bound form. So it has the user's data. So we want to check it. Like, did they provide something that's real? Oh, Braxy, thanks for subscribing. Appreciate that. And then we will call that save method, which is what's over here. That's when we're going to create the user record if they don't exist, and then generate a magic link for them, which we don't have yet. We do, at this point, want to do the redirect, a redirect to the location that will show them, hey, go check your email. And we don't have that yet. So we need two things. We need to get in the redirect, which is from the shortcuts, I think. So redirect should be in here. So this will kind of work, but it's going to blow up right here because there is no URL route named check email currently. But that's like essentially the sign-in flow. The one piece that's missing right now is that notice that this form is created, but it's never passed into the context, and that is a problem. So let's change this. I don't think we need any other context, so let's put it right in line. We'll say form. I could type. We have our form, and let's get rid of the local variable. And so now we've got this. So this flow is, this is an unbound form. And if it's a get request, it's going to skip this middle chunk and just render the page. And it will put in the form with all the right widget stuff and all that sort of stuff. Actually, we need to go check the sign-in page because it might be a slightly different name on the form field. Let's confirm. Looks like form email is the name, so we're safe there. We don't have to change any of that. Oh, interesting. If not password errors, well, that's definitely not going to be. If not, wait. Hold on. Come on, brain, work. So if not password errors. So if there are password errors, the not is there's none. That's true. All right, so we want to show this all the time, right? I think that's right. Oh, this is like a whole thing. What am I doing? Oh. Am I on the wrong page? I'm on the wrong page. I deleted these things. No wonder it's confused. Or I'm confused. I went to the wrong page. So, but we did check. It is the sign in page has the same email field name, so it's fine. I wanted to go to sign in, not sign up. Their password, okay, good. So we've got this. We want to have the URLs that point to the check email thing. That'll just be a page. I think there's another one where we could steal pretty heavily. from the app over here. So let's go to project URLs, and we can do this. We can steal that. We'll put it right here. The check email is going to be also from account. So let's put that right here. Check email. Whoops. And it doesn't exist yet, so it's not happy about that. But we can do this. Or actually, you know what? Let's take this whole thing, paste it here. We'll call it check email. It doesn't need any of this stuff. It's just going to be a render, and we're going to do check email HTML, and we'll delete all of the context. So very, very simple view. It doesn't exist yet, but I did mention that we're going to steal from the verification sent page. So this is a template that comes from Django AllAuth and is a useful page that I had to like show like this is what you need to do next. But now we can use it for our different purpose here. So we'll put that here and say check email HTML, and we'll paste that here. So we've got check email. Let's go ahead and check it. So let's start this up. Without even going to this sign in flow and completing it, we can go over here. I think we're done with this section now. So let's do, whoops. Come on. Let's do check email. So this is what it looks like currently. It says verify your email address. I don't want to say that anymore. Janae, I think I do have a video somewhere. One of these streams, if you search through my playlist, you will find NeoVim somewhere in the title. It's not really a tutorial, but to your first part of your question, it does have my setup that I did for NeoVim at the time. So you could start from that. There's also a lot of good NeoVim content out there that you could check on. So definitely check that out. So let's go here and change this to let's just say check your email. Check your email. A little bit more forceful than please check your email. I'm looking at the title up here. So now it'll say check your email, school desk. We've got this icon. Please check your email. We need to change the copy. It's no longer we sent you an email. So we confirm your email address. That's not really what we care about anymore. We sent you an email with a link to log in. Please follow the link in your email. That's redundant at this point. Do I need to say this anymore? Once you do that, you'll be on your way to starting with School Desk. So it's not this. It's a mixed audience at this point. So I don't know that that's the right thing to do. I guess what I could do if I was being really clever, which I don't want to be, is this is too clever. So in the form over here, the save method, we get this get or create. And the second, you can see the second parameter here, right here, that is an underscore variable. And that is if it was used, it is a created, that would be the name for it. It's a Boolean of whether it was a found record or a created record. And in theory, I could return that and say created over here, like this. And then say with some arguments or query string stuff, I could pass in that created variable and then have that as some query string that I would check in here on whether to render this or not. I don't want to do any of that. I think it's just, I'd rather keep it simple and stupid. So we sent you an email with a link to log in. please follow the link. Let's say to use School Desk. If you can't find the email, it's no longer just a confirmation email. So if you can't find the email after a few minutes, check your spam folder, as some email clients will mark your email as spam. Okay, so if we have that, we now have a, oh shoot, I hate it when it does like leaves behind one little, kind of an orphan text is I think what typography would call that, but there's no like page wrap, so it's not really the appropriate name, but it's close. Can I tighten this up to make this a one-liner? We sent you an email with a login link. Will that shorten enough? Yeah, there we go. Okay. So now this got this one-liner. Cool. So this is what's going to happen after you actually click that form. That feels nice. And my hope is that by the end of the stream this evening, that we'll be able to test out a good chunk of this flow, or at least the front end part of this. We could probably do that really soon, actually. Even if the magic link stuff isn't working yet, all of this should be working. Why did the line issue occur? Not really sure. Why did it wrap? You mean? It was just too long. I don't. Maybe you meant something else, but it was slightly too long for. I have a. This is this overall box is set to a certain width. The max width is extra large, as you can see here, max WXL in the accessibility in the inspector, and so that sets it to a max width of, what is that, 576 pixels wide. So the text just didn't fit. So I feel good about this template. It feels done. This feels done, and this feels done. I have a feeling the test would break if I ran this, because we don't have full test coverage. But we do have this process. Now that we're here, let's go ahead and fix the index page to get the other links. So anywhere that has, we want to find account sign up. So there's account sign up exists on a few spots here. There should be 3 of them, I think. Ooh. Where are we? Start my free trial. 2, 3. Yep. 4. What is this? What is this? Huh? Oh. There is one more hiding at the bottom. Okay. I totally missed that one. So we'll do sign in for all of them. So we'll go boom, 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 boom. No more. Refresh that page. Oh, ZHS Cloud, thanks for subscribing. Appreciate it. I guess I should say while I'm at it, if you all are enjoying this, please leave a thumbs up. That would help me out later for other people to find the content. So hopefully this is useful. All right, so we've got the app. It's working. Let's refresh the page. So this now goes to sign in, sign in, sign in. This is why I'm not testing this stuff, because we only need to check it once, and then like I'm not changing this stuff, so I'm not worried about. Somebody would be like, you got to have an automated test to make sure that this goes to the right place. It's like, screw that. It's too much work. Sorry, maybe a little too strongly worded, but sometimes a manual verification is really all you need. So there was 5 links one time, never going to change. And if I ever do change it, I will know to test it again. But this page has been working reliably for 4 years, so it doesn't need to change often. Okay, so I think that's it. So I think let's try it out. So though, what should we see? what we could see is I'm only using Tailwind. So everything that we're doing is Django server templates. And I've said this on the stream before. I have found that for small projects where it's one person, that you want to optimize for things that like really make your development flow go fast. And for me, that means not trying to bridge between like a front-end world and a back-end world. Not this app, but my previous software as a service app did have the split where I had a rich front-end client. I was using Ember at the time, and I also had an API. And the reason that I didn't do that with this app is because I learned from that app. Because what was happening is I would be like, it was a college consulting app. So my wife did college consulting. She would teach kids about SAT, ACT prep, and help them get into schools. And I was trying to build a tool for her so that she could get information about schools very easily, of like what are the college application deadlines, all that sort of stuff. And what Wisdom, thanks for the comment, appreciate that there. What happened was I went too slow and I missed the boat on when she'd even care, because I told her I'm going to build this app for you, and she's like, that's great. And then I took a really long time to produce anything of value, and she's like, I don't need this anymore. You missed your chance. I lost her interest. And the reason that happened, at least with my experience with Ember, is I would build the API and do some modeling in Django, which I was very comfortable with and got through very quickly. And then I'd have to replicate that same data modeling, in the front end app until I get the two sides to communicate with each other. And so I was doing that and then making pages over here, and just the process was it was slow for me. I don't know if there's any other way to say it. In fact, it was so slow, I eventually got fed up, and I kept trying to get to use the app usable where my wife would be interested in using it. But I ran into so many headaches with Ember that I spent a weekend to like rip out Ember, replace it all with Django templates. And it had taken me probably like a year to make something with Ember. And I was able to replace the entire UI in literally a weekend. Now, I had the advantage of all the design was already done, so that it's not a totally fair comparison, but I was able to go so much faster because I didn't have to do any modeling. There was no like extra talking between two different universes, and it just went so much faster for me. So I found that for small apps, like the probability that you need something super heavyweight, not very likely, in my opinion. So if you can stick with server-side rendering if you're doing Rails or Laravel or Django, it doesn't matter. I don't care which framework you're doing, but I think you get the maximum leverage out of using the server-side rendering tools of an existing framework. May not be as cool or quite as dynamic as some of the other tools, but it's certainly an expedient way to make an app. Okay, so we've got our UI. Let's try it out. The app is running. Let's pretend to be a new user. We'll say, yeah, I don't have any experience with Vite, and like sadly, there is a good place for. I don't want to poo-poo on React and stuff like completely. React and those sort of tools are great if you have a team. Like, you know, I work at a healthcare company. We have a big, large backend that does a lot of stuff. I don't need to go into what it does right now, but it does a lot of stuff. And we make an API. The reason we make an API is because we have a native iOS client, we have a native Android client, we have a native web client. And in that universe where you need to have like one set of data and business logic, and then you have your clients just talking to the API to get data, it makes perfect sense to use a framework like React, because at that scale, you have, I mean, of those 4 different groups that I mentioned, the backend and the 3 clients, you have different teams that are working on it with different specialized knowledge. So it's just a different story if you're one person by yourself, which is why the all-in-one frameworks like Django are so powerful. Now, I would also say that with a small team, you might still really benefit from Django. Before my current healthcare company, I worked at a small edtech company, and we had Django and our developers were like full stack people. We had to do both front end and back end. And where we could get away with using Django templates and doing some server side rendering and sprinkle in some dynamic stuff, it worked out really well. So especially if you're just starting out, like if you're thinking about, I've got a project and I'm looking to build a SaaS software product, redundant, but building a SaaS, then trying to keep your stack simple and focus your complexity is a really good thing to do. It reminds me of an article. What is Etsy? The term that he used. Complexity tokens. I don't know, something like that. There it is. Wow. I was way off on there's something in here. This is a great article. So maybe read it. You can read it now if you want. You're not going to offend me. It's a good article about how you should prioritize technology choices. And you can see from the title, it is a little bit, I don't know if inflammatory is the right word, sensational, tries to get your attention. But this is a good article to help you think through what tech you should be picking and why. And I think Dan, who I presume is the person pictured here, does a good job of explaining some of that. So definitely worth a read. All right, let's test out the app from the UI flow. It's going to look like we should have been sent a magic link or a link to log in, but obviously the rest of this is not hooked up, so it's not going to work. But we can try it out. So let's go. So the app is running. We're going to pretend we are a new user coming into School Desk, and I see this. I'm reading about it. Oh, this sounds cool. Oh, she sounds like she's getting something done. I like what I'm seeing. Yeah, great. Let's try it. So we're dumped over here, and now we're at this, and it says sign in, email address. That seems pretty easy. Start planning. Okay, I know what I'm supposed to do. If I don't have an account, but I am a new user, so we've got terms of service. Let me click that. Oh, it launched me into a new tab. I got this. I guess you can kind of see around the ballpark of when I got the app launched. So it was some months before that. So it was in 2020 where I got this all out there. And there's a privacy policy. People can go read that. Okay, so we are, in theory, testing this. So we'll just call this the sign in at testing.com user. So this process should make a user. And we should just see the check your email page after this, right? Check email. Good. Please check your email. We sent you an email with a link we sent you an email with a login link. Please follow the link to use School Desk. Braxy, 1 second. I'll get to your question there. Okay, so what happened though? Nothing. Well, that's not true. What would happen is if I remember the admin account for this local data, which I don't think I do, we would see that there is a new user with sign in. Actually, let's go find it because I feel like that's necessary. And while I'm doing that, I can answer some questions. Braxy, how did I create the TOS and privacy policy? I found a template a long time ago that was a very basic one. So I didn't fully wing it. I think it would be a bad idea to fully wing it. There was one that was kind of covered the basics, and it had a very some simple placeholders. Essentially you set what's supposed to be your business entity. So if I look over here, we go to the terms page, you can see the things I had to set was the website was this, and then operated by, now I'm a sole proprietor here, so I put my name, but if you had an LLC or some kind of S Corp, C Corp thing, you could put your business there. And then there were a few other spots where I had to put my name, or put the us, we, our placeholders where it was identified. This was a super simple template. Sadly, I tried to do the same thing for Journey Inbox over here, and if you actually look at this, what you'll find is it's the same language that's in here, because the template that I initially found, I went to look for like, is there an updated terms of service or privacy policy that you can use from 2024, whenever I started this? And the answer was like, no, couldn't find it. Like, which is really shocking to me. Like, how do we go backwards in what's available? So I went and I took this privacy policy and terms of service from School Desk and just recycled them. In fact, I think in my case, it basically all stayed the same, except for I changed the name of the website. I might have taken out one thing. There was some stuff in here about analytics, and I think you can see at this top, like, I don't want any data about people. Like, I'm not interested. Part of this is like I said earlier in the stream, I'm not into this to make some big business out of this. Like, that's not my objective. My objective is to make a useful tool that I find useful, that maybe other people find useful tool too. And if they want to support, use the tool and support me, that's awesome. So because of that, I don't do tracking. I don't do like none of that. None of that's interesting to me. So I tried to strip out anything that might have had like tracking stuff in there. I don't remember if it's even here. Yeah, I think like some of this thing, I took it out because I didn't have any tracking. And even with School Desk, I don't need that tracking. I don't do any of that stuff. Like, it's not what I wanted to do with this business. So so I could probably update the terms of service, but it hasn't been worth it. All right, hopefully that answers your question there. Wisdom, Golang versus Python. Okay, I use Go at work. Go's good. It's a good solid language. I don't. This may come down to like a philosophy thing. Wisdom. What strikes me about Go is it seems to be that community seems to be of the mindset where you start with a small kernel of this is the core functionality, and then you build and put your layers on top of it of extra third-party packages. This is more like the Python Flask model. The Flask tool is a similar thing where you start with the core Flask, which is very small, and then you reach out to extensions in the ecosystem. Django is a very different beast than that, where it's the you can view it positively or negatively, the kitchen sink model, where you have all of these tools that you might use, and the pieces that you don't want to use, you just ignore them. Like, I'm not doing any internationalization in my app, for example, and so I just ignore it. So that's code that's present when I deploy, but it's not getting used. I find that Django, and then its kin in Ruby is like Rails, or if you're in PHP, it's Laravel. Those are three common frameworks that also have the same kind of ethos, is have a curated and opinionated view on what a framework should be, so that you can just like go and like you can lean on somebody else's decisions, somebody who has probably tons of web development experience and has thought through these things and integrated them well. So from that perspective, I've not seen something like that in Go. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means I haven't looked for it, and I've not heard of one that certainly rises to the level of like a Rails or a Django. So maybe there is a tool like that out there that that you could find, and that could work great. I don't know. I just haven't seen it. So that's my opinion there. Yeah, Braxley, definitely annoying to find templates for that stuff. Do I have time? Okay, Aeropuerto, over engineering. Let me ask you, do you mean for this app or just in life in general? So for this app, no. I was very much like, do the simplest thing possible. I even went so far as just put it on Heroku because it's so stupid simple. I'm willing to pay a little bit extra. I, in the past years, converted it over to DigitalOcean, so I went a little bit more into do something on my own, and that did bring in a little bit of extra complexity, but not a crazy amount. My previous app, that wasn't working for my wife. Eventually turned it into more like an academic project of what can I do with this. I did some weird things with that with like zip apps, and I mean, you can go look at my old streams for that. There's a playlist for College Conductor was the name of the project, and I didn't go like crazy with tech, but I did make some choices that I regretted, like bringing in Ember, and as an engineer of one, having both a front end and back end, and having too much complexity. I was thinking about like I'm gonna have this really slick UI, and it was a lost sight of serving an actual customer, and that is the lesson that I took to heart with School Desk, and then also with Journey Inbox of like make sure you solve the customer's problem first and foremost. So I'm trying to think of other times in my career where I've over-engineered. I'm sure there have been, to varying degrees. Nothing quite as severe as like a complete app failure, because I failure to launch basically. Even though I technically launched, just never got buy-in from users because I was focused on the wrong things. So it's definitely possible. All right, so we have now seen oops, let's close this one. That's the real one. We've seen the sign up flow. We followed it through. We saw the check email page. I remember what I was going to do. I was going to say we wanted to see what what happened with that user that we created. So let's go, UV run managed PyShell. And then from home, oh goodness, where is it? Homeschool accounts, models, import user. Should have done shell plus. And let's do user objects filter where is staff is true. Matt. Okay. But question is, do I remember the password? I doubt it. All right, let me try it. Let's get the app running. If not, I can create a new super user. So let's fire up over on a private session. We'll go to localhost 8000. We will do the admin for this app is called Office, and the username is Matt. We know that's the staff user, and I think it's going to be this password. Oh, boo. Let's see if I typed it wrong. Let's go a little slower. Nope. Okay, not it. Boo hoo. One more time. Hey, okay. Just need a capital W. Okay, where was I? So we're now in here. We have an account that should be created. Okay, we can immediately see, like, yes, our thing was created because here's the user UUID. When we did that flow, if you remember, like we did a get or create, and there was a defaults thing that went with it. And if there was no user with that email, then it gave it a random user UUID. So we should be able to go to users and see there's sign in at testing. Not the greatest username stuff. Like it's gonna be like, I think here's an example where actually we could probably see this now. If I click this impersonate thing, oh good, it used the actual email. So here's the app. Yep, there's a reason why. Actually, this is the experience that someone would see if they signed in right now. If they followed through on a link, which we don't have yet, this is where it would dump them. And it's not a great place because what they actually should see is I have this like start URL. They wouldn't see this red bar. This is because this is telling me, hey, dummy, be careful. You're logged in as a different user and you are like, you have special permissions right now. Be careful. This is where I wanted to send people, where it was kind of a wizard thing where they start on this page. There was an email or a little note saying, welcome, here's your thing, and then like, let's get going. So there's a button to march this along, or you can follow along. And so there's these, well, you can't see them. It was all designed to be like, fill in this, and then once you fill in this, then you can fill in this, and so on. It just marched you through these things. But I realized like all of this stuff could be simplified into a single form that kind of explains things in one one place. And that's what I want to get rid of. But also, it just like, it stopped working. It wouldn't send you here. So you'd land on this page and you'd see this thing and you were like, maybe I can see what to do. Like maybe I'll click on this. So it was really, it's just not a great experience. Braxy, what's impersonate? Is that you actually logging in as the user? Yes, that is exactly what it is. What it doesn't do, of course, the database here, when you store passwords and things, Django does not store a real password. So I never know their password. All passwords are hashed. So it's a one-way value. But what it does do, what I do have here, and I'm using a tool. Let me show you what the tool is called. So if we go to the Pi project, there is a package called Hijack, Django Hijack. And Hijack's job is to essentially, from a privileged position, like a staff user here, then you can click on the user admin to impersonate, and it effectively logs in as them without the password. It just bypasses that and sets a session so that if I was, let's say, I told you all that my spouse is the person that uses this, so I can go into the Django admin, find her account, click that impersonate button, and then see stuff about her school year, which happens to be about my children because I know her. But I can also do that for other users. So I've had a couple of other users who've had problems in the past, and then as a debugging technique, when I couldn't figure it out from Sentry and I needed more information, like they had some kind of visual bug that was problematic, I would email them and say like, "Hello, so and so, are you okay if I take a look at your account and explore it that way? I promise I won't change any of your data. I'm not going to like delete your school. I don't want to lose you as a customer, right? So I want to be respectful of that." So this is a tool that I use very rarely, but it is a powerful feature. Now, if you were in like a big company of people, this is where you got to be careful with these things. Like for me, like the only person on the planet Earth that has the ability, aside from like state actors, unless they cracked my accounts, is me. Like, so I know that if anybody is going in here and going and hijacking an account, it's me. So I don't need any kind of auditing. So if though you were on a team and you needed to make sure that all of your coworkers, employees, whoever you had, were staying above board, I think there are tools with Django Hijack so that you can add in kind of auditing logging. So you can at least find out, maybe you can't track what they did when they hijacked somebody, but you could have a log saying like, Joe Smith at mycompany.com logged in as Jane Doe at customer.com, whoever they were. So there's that. So it's a good tool for that. If you can do stuff without it, that's probably the best, but there's just times where it's like super convenient. So be careful with it. Trust your customer, or help your customers gain trust in you, and then it's a pretty powerful tool. Okay, so we have the clear confirmation that we created that email account. They are not verified yet, but it doesn't matter so much for this account. Verification, well, let me think on that. I'm trying to think if verified did anything. So we have these email addresses, and part of Django All-Auth is that if you sign in, you're unverified with an email. And then you click the login link, and the act of clicking, or it was actually a confirmation link, the act of clicking the confirmation link would confirm your account and allow you to log in. And in the previous flow, until you click that confirmation link, you couldn't log in. But in this new updated and simplified flow, the only way you can log in is through clicking an email link. So the verification aspect of this is an unnecessary step because you have to go to an email client in order to log into the app. So I don't think that's something that we need to carry forward on this particular app. So I think we're done with looking at the users. I think we have proof that that it does what we want it to do. I think the only thing left to do now is follow through on the actual magic link creation from Django Sesame. We're just gonna steal from the journal project again. There's nothing unique about this stuff. So I really don't want to recreate any of that. So let's get at it. Let's go to accounts, and we'll start at the views area. We'll go up, and we already have a tasks file. Good. So we're gonna put a new task here, and I think we're even done. I don't think there's any new URLs that we're gonna need. So we can close that. We have our form. Once we bring in this new task, then I'll uncomment these things. So that should be all that we have to do there. So let's go to accounts tasks, and we've got this code right here. There was some weirdness that I am not going to get into around, like, why am I calling it this way? It had to do with testing, is the short version. If you want to have an understanding of what I did for this task, you're welcome to go check out the Journey Inbox playlist. It was actually just last week or 2 weeks ago when I did this chunk of code. So it was a little bit strange for why it looks like this. And if you can't tell what this DB task down here is a decorator. So in a proper, quote unquote, proper way, we would have done it like at DB task, but we could not without having testing be annoying. So we'll come over here. We will paste in this chunk of code, and we'll go get all the things that we need to get. So, oh boo. I copied, now interestingly, this full URL reverse is something I copied from this project. So we have one of these somewhere. Where is it? Core site. Okay. We want to do from homeschool.core.site import full URL reverse. That gets that part. And then render to string. Where are you? Template loader. Let's just steal both of these and put them here. Let them fix that up. One more. There's the get query string. This is the actual part from Django Sesame that we care about. So there's that. So, okay. And we need user, which is in that models file. I think that's everything. Okay, so this will fail at the moment because we don't have this template. We don't have this template. This will also be like, this is clearly not tailored to School Desk yet. So we have to update. I'll just call it, let's do this now. We'll need to check on what is this. So we need to check on what is the actual value here. I think I might have that as a setting. So that's why I'm not just like typing it out right now. And we need DB task, which is coming from LMNOP DB task. There we go. Okay, alphabetically after periodic task. Okay, so we're close. So we gotta fix these. The other bit that we need is what? We need the settings. So if we go to project settings, there will be a Sesame section. There should be Sesame. What? No. What? Why is that? What are you doing? Settings. Sesame. Ah. Unfortunately, Janae, I have not used Fast API, so it looks cool. I just haven't had any reason to use it. I've seen some usage of it at work. So I've like read some of the Fast API code, but I can't really speak to the development of how that feels. All right, so for we've got to update authentication backends. Let's go. What we're doing is we're preparing the rest of the site to work with Django Sesame. Go to the authentication backends. We're going to, and I'll delete all auth later, so it's not hurting that it's present here. We can just have that there. So that's one bit that we need, and we also need all of these particular settings. If Journey Inbox allows email changes in the future, you may want to change the default. Okay. All right, let's just take all these. Same is probably true of School Desk. We'll go down. I have a section where I keep my third-party apps defined. Try and have them be alphabetically, so that would be here. Come on, Matt. So here's this. Let's change this to School Desk. This name is going to show up in the login page, which reminds me we need to set that. There is another URL we have to set, but it's for Django Sesame and not one of the ones that we created. There's also a certain amount of time that the token will be valid for after somebody's clicked that. But that's pretty much it. So those are all I think those are all the Sesame settings. Yep, that's it for this. If we go now to the URLs file, there is one little section here where we need this login view. So let's finish this off by going to project URLs. We will paste in Sesame views, and then we will also put in a login view. So we've got oh, we need a log out view too. Phooey. Forget, like, there are these little things that came from Django all auth, little bits that here and there that we needed. So let's get both of these things and put them right here. I'm gonna complain about one because we didn't import it, but that's okay. Go back over and get that too. So we need the Django contrib auth. Contrib auth, that there. All right, now I think we have everything. So Janae, I think you're asking the wrong question. I don't mean that in any sort of offensive way. So, or let me rephrase. I could be ignorant about what your capstone's trying to do. If your capstone is a project where you're supposed to do something, then I think you're asking kind of the wrong question. You're like putting the tech before the problem you're trying to solve. If, however, your capstone is about learn about some tech, then your question makes sense. But my opinion is that, like, seek out a tool that will solve your problem effectively. That would be my best advice. And then you're stating very clearly you're a college kid. That's cool. I was a college kid too once. You have tons of time to learn. So it's almost like pick whatever you want. So, and maybe to that end of, if the capstone is about learning technology, maybe think about what kind of technologist do you want to be in the future? I'm making another assumption that you're a computer science student or something that does programming regularly. And there's a lot of stuff in that space. There are, like, computer science people that do stuff that's a lot closer to hardware. It's like drivers and things that are near the Linux, like the kernel. That is a very different style of programming from stuff that are like at the stuff that I'm covering here, software as a service. So yeah, web dev. So if you're trying to gain an experience on like the breadth of web development, then I think Django is a good solid suggestion. Any of those big frameworks that cover a lot of surface area, there's just a ton that you could learn. Another one that you might be interested in learning that I have found is a great way to like learn about API design is Django REST framework. And the reason I would suggest that the reason I'm talking about this one, not that DRF, so it sometimes gets abbreviated to DRF, not that DRF is perfect, but the documentation is pretty stellar in that this list right here under API guide, if you learned about everything in this list, you will have a deeper knowledge of the structure of common elements of web APIs than 99% of the people on the planet. This is a very solid list of robust topics that will grow your knowledge. So you could do like Django and DRF together. They're kind of a 1-2 punch. And if your goal is about learning technology and learning how the web works, the combination of being exposed to writing templates and web pages and stuff, that'd be all in the Django world, and then layering in like understanding API stuff through this thing, like caching, throttling. These are more, they're not, I wouldn't call them like advanced topics. They're just like, how do I contrast this properly? Let's look at Flask briefly. And I love Flask, so don't anybody interpret this as me knocking on Flask. It is a great project. But the Flask out of the box experience, is it like you can make a JSON API super easily by, in fact, I think the way this would work now is it's so good that you could literally take a Python dictionary and have that as the return, and it would make like that JSON show up as on the browser and be consumable as data by a JavaScript app. That's awesome. That is super powerful, especially if you have a small contained project. What it doesn't give you is a lot of those extra bells and whistles that I was just talking about. So what are you doing about pagination in that world? So again, this is where I made this comment earlier about Django being a kitchen sink kind of framework, where it has all of these things where maybe you don't use most of them, but then when you finally realize, oh, wait a minute, I do need to do user management, or I do need an admin interface. Like as soon as those requirements pop up, then you're like, oh, I've got something to reach for. In that same vein, Django REST framework feels like that for web APIs, because you might start off being like, oh, I'm making an API. I'm going to give a list of records back to my users. Oh, crap. Now I have a user who's put in 10,000 records, and every time they make a request, they are destroying my website, my database, because they're requesting all this data at once. I really need pagination. And it's at that point where the framework you're using may not come with any kind of pagination tools. But if you're doing pagination with DRF, you realize that like adding pagination is almost trivial for DRF. So these batteries that are included are super useful. They're opinionated, as Ekshunya is mentioning there, but they are not bad opinions. And they're generally customizable too. So if you want to swap it out, it's great for that. So anyway, that's I guess about as good of a recommendation I could give you, is like you could spend a whole like semester learning about just Django and DRF and come out the other side being way better off than tons of other developers. You're welcome. Wisdom, is the microservice architecture overrated? No, but yes. The microservice architecture, I think, is overrated if you were starting a new project. I've heard advice out there of like, start with microservices, and like, no. That's in my opinion totally wrong, because you are taking on a complexity and solving for a problem that you don't have yet. You need to be almost like a victim of your own success before some of these things make sense. I'll give you an example. Coming back to the company that I work for. The company I work for is actually a merger of two companies. Both companies, both of the legacy companies, had a large monolithic piece of software. One was written in Django. That's the one that I came from historically. The other company had a large Ruby on Rails app. And both companies were victims of their own success. They had a ton of successful code running, or that code was running, and users were using it every day and hitting it hard. There's a lot of usage, which is a good problem, right? But it meant that as we tried to like fuse the two companies together, because that was the objective, two healthcare companies with different kind of related, they were different products, but together they would be better. But we like had these two different monoliths, and that is at the point at which starting to switch to microservices, like pull out a piece of this one so that the company over here can use this technology from there, and like the cross-pollination could start to happen. And until we switched to the microservices architecture, it was like two different models of the world kind of like fighting with each other, not in like adversarial ways, just the nature of this different decisions made in healthcare, of like the way that this company represented a doctor was slightly different from the way this company represented a doctor. But going fast and having those monolithic pieces of software was, in my opinion, absolutely the right call for each company to become healthy and sustainable, because they had this core engine that they could lean on. And then it made sense to switch to microservices. When the team was scaling up, we needed more teams to work on more different kinds of stuff, and the pieces need to all interact with each other. And having the downside of monolithic stuff is at a certain size, you can run into coordination problems where if you're deploying just like one big monolith, and there's a ton of changes going into it, unless you're very careful with how you do your release management processes, that can be troublesome, I'll say. So microservices has a good place. It's just like not right away, in my opinion. Do I self-host? I definitely do not. If you mean like, do I have a server somewhere in this house? No. I am doing DigitalOcean. So I'm doing a virtual private server, a VM. So I'm not doing something like managed, although I used to. I used to use Heroku for a long time, where they took control over most of the management of the operating system. So I'm a little bit closer to the metal, as you would say, or as one might say, but nothing as much as like racking my own machines, nothing like that. I don't know anything about home lab, so I can't help you there. That is not my area of expertise. My house is very dumb. I don't even think I have like smart lights, sensors, anything like that. I just never got into it. How do I advertise my apps? I don't. And that's my fault. There's one of the aspects of this stream that I thought I might do, but just turns out it doesn't make very compelling content. Is like I could come up with like marketing plans, figure out how to get engagement there, but most people aren't here to see that. Most people that show up to the stream are like, I'm here to code. And I will confess that my apps are not nearly as successful as they might be, because coding is definitely just, and some might say, the smaller part of the picture for having a successful product. So I could probably invest a lot more into marketing and be more successful. But frankly, like I've said, I have a day job and I'm happy with my day job. And these are like small tools that make me happy. And if they make other people happy too, that's great. So I'm more of a word of mouth person, but that's to my own detriment. Well, yeah, okay. I'm glad you're here to see that, Akshuna. Most people tend not to be. So maybe I'll cover some of it at some strategy at some point, but I just don't really do much of that. What do I think of the modular monolithic architecture as a start? if I understand your wisdom, like it's a good thing to a degree. So here's where you can get into where even among the popular frameworks, so you can see some philosophical difference. For example, here's my homeschool app. And if we look at this homeschool thing, you can see I have, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 apps. Apps are Django terms basically for components. So this is a way of having a modular representation. And Django biases towards that. It makes that kind of easy to make these things. If I had showed you the default Ruby on Rails layout, you wouldn't see this structure. Like, so in this structure, you go in here, and within each app, you kind of see models, you see views, you see URLs, which are effectively routes. You see like a standard kind of structure within each one of these things. They will look similar to each other, okay? And the Rails default Rails out layout kind of flips that on its head, where at the top will be a models, and within that directory you would put all of the models of your app, and at the top would be your, what do they call it, controllers, which is effectively your views, and at the top you have your views, which are your templates there. So all of those things, AMR, welcome. All of those things are, it puts the layering is kind of like global, and that's the default way that Rails works. However, Rails can be flipped more to a Django style. I think it's called engines. Yeah, I'm a little bit out of my depth here, but I think that's the term. So in an engine world, it's a little bit more like Django. It's a little bit more modularized from the get-go. I think there are advantages to that, but I do see, like with the journal app over here, for example, I don't have as many apps. I'm trying. So like there's some people that will in Django be like, hey, just make one app and kind of treat it like Rails and just put a bunch of stuff in there, because the argument there is when you're first designing your application, you don't necessarily know, or you certainly are operating from your least amount of knowledge about what is the data in my domain. And you are likely at that stage to make the wrong boundary decisions. So you might bundle stuff together that shouldn't be bundled that way, and then you're kind of stuck with these constraints of, oh shoot, I bundled it over here, but I really want to use it over here, and now it's not really accessible. So that style, those people would say, hey, just start with a core app, treat a little bit more like Rails initially, and then after time, once you do have a more informed opinion of, actually, this was the right chunk of stuff to have together, or this boundary that I thought was right was wrong, and it's actually more like this, then you can start pulling out that into a more modularized format. There's some costs to doing that, but that's a different point of view there. Yeah. Do I have advice about hosting? I guess it's I don't know that I have strong advice. So it's what's your trade-off? The Heroku is still a great platform, especially if you're trying to optimize for speed. You can go pretty fast. I'm now using a tool called Kamal, Kamal, from the people who do Ruby on Rails. And it's a good tool, but it does have more configuration, and it requires some knowledge of Docker and stuff. So that's definitely, there's a cost to that. So there's no perfect solution here. Actually, I'm looking at your comment here on interpreted languages. Oh, yeah, I guess interpreted languages do, the flexibility can bite you later. Yes, that's true. But I will say, if you, and I mentioned this earlier, you can do, like with Python at least, you can do gradual typing. So you can introduce typing as a tool to if you're finding that you're getting bit by type errors, which could be happening, or you want more help from your editors because your domain model is sufficiently complex and you have a crazy number of methods or something like that, then adding some type hints is at that moment can really, you kind of get, I'm not going to say the best of both worlds because the Python type system is not perfect, but I think it's a good way to like grow into something more typed, which I've done. Like that big Django monolith that I mentioned at my company, at a certain scale size, we really needed that typing information, and we went through and started adding types to thing and added in MyPy to check on stuff, and it helped squash a lot of bugs. All right, let me finish up some thoughts here. I think what I want to do is kind of wrap up by getting this magic link stuff in, and if we could finish, gosh, we might even be able to finish the whole feature, but not have working tests. We haven't done any testing this evening just because I've been copying functionality from the other place. Wisdom, I have no idea if it's easier to find a job with Java or Python. That is, I'm too old. I've got too much gray in here to like know what the new job market is looking for in terms of what's a easier job. I think it probably depends on the company will probably want you to learn whatever the tech they have. And if you can demonstrate knowledge with both of them, all the better. And just be flexible. Okay, I'm gonna slow down on the comments there. I love the chatter. Just clearly not getting stuff done here. So let's bring in this generate magic link. Actually, we already did that, right? We have we were in accounts tasks. We added the generate magic link. We made all the imports work. And oh, I remember where we were. We need to fix that to do. So is there a no reply in here? Yeah, default from email, I think is what we want. Yeah, no reply. So let's do. Doesn't have a nicer name. That's too bad. It's okay. Let's do from Django. What do I need? From Django conf import settings. And then down here, we'll change the from email. I don't actually know that we even need this. I think if you don't include this, yeah, right? Because that's what this is, right? The default from email is from, that's a Django thing. All right, let's just try getting rid of this. Now we don't have to solve that with some kind of setting. Okay, so we fixed that to do. We now have our generate magic link as a task, so we can uncomment this at this point. We can also uncomment this. So we have those together. It's going to call into here. We need to have the templates because that's not going to work. So let's go to accounts. Well, templates, accounts. And what am I looking for? We already have an nope, wrong one. Almost made that mistake. It's over here. We're going to make a directory for email templates. So we'll call that email. And then I'm just gonna use the same exact templates I used for the other one. The login text and login HTML. So I have to make a text version and an HTML version because people's editors are email clients have both of those things, which is kind of annoying, but that's the way of it. So I have a super simple one for text version. So sign in to School Desk. And by using the same templates here, like I've already got the login URL, so I don't have to do anything. Let's go back and get the HTML version. Slightly more complicated, but not really. All right, and then whoops. We will paste that in. Get rid of that. Hi. Oh, what do I call this? So I have I don't remember what I call myself in this, founder or what? Founder, okay. School desk founder, sure. Sign into school desk. Okay, that looks right. Cool. So at this point, we should be able to fire up the whole app. I'm going to restart things because I don't know if the worker picked everything up properly. I'm not sure. So you can see, I gave the task the wrong name, but it does work properly. I would rather it be called generate magic link, but it doesn't do that. But when we use it, you do use it like generate magic link. Yeah. Just an oddity of how I had to set this up to make it test well. So the thing we want to test now is that, does this make a link or a proper link that we can use? And it should, but let's go prove it. So we've got what I call the user, I called it sign in at testing or something like that. So if I say sign in at testing, and now if I do this, it should fire off an email. The email is not going to be a real email, it'll fire off to the console. That's how it's configured. So let's say, please check your email, but really it just dumps it out here from the worker. So what happened was, we in the web application fired off a task, and that task got set to the queue for Huey, and the Huey queue worker, the thing that's like wants to do the work, is listening every second. You can see scheduler runs every second, so looks for new stuff every second, which is plenty fast enough for what we need. And so we did our request, and it got that all happened, and it said, oh, okay, I guess I need to make a magic link, and here is our magic link, or our email. So we took out that from, and so you can see we've got the default no reply thing there, and it's to us, and here's the content. So we've got the text version and the HTML version. Both of them have this link that's to example.com that's configured as the site. I could correct that in the admin. I don't have that right now. So let's come over here and we will log in, but I'm going to change this from example.com to localhost 8000, and we can correct that in a minute. In fact, maybe we can. Did I keep that up? No, I didn't. Oh, did you not work? Why did you not work? I wonder. That should have worked. So something's wrong. How? What the? I wonder if this is broken on Journey Inbox. Because, okay, so here's what I think is happening. But I thought I tested this end-to-end on Journey Inbox. That's weird. So maybe I need to go test something on my live site later. But I think what's happening is that this is missing an allow from my Django denied framework. And so because it's basically Django denied, my tool is expecting that that every view be given some kind of authorization. And that authorization can either be allow, which is like saying this view is good to do whatever, or it can be some kind of authorizer, so that does some specific checking. And because this thing was not wrapped up, it's possible that this is what was getting redirected. But this is really surprising to me. I really thought that that was not the case. And I'm a little shocked about that. So, let me do a couple things before because I'm making a guess right now and I don't like that. I want to do something with a little bit more confidence. So maybe let's go to the project settings and let's go ahead and take, let's take all auth out. I don't know if all auth is causing some problem in the process. Do I use LLMs often? Not for coding. I use it the way that I use it for coding right now, and this is a problem with me. This is a me problem where I have not set up NeoVim to be plugged into an LLM. So if I'm going to use an LLM for coding, it's more of like a conversational, like help me figure out how I would write this, kind of like have a dialogue with an LLM. I do use it pretty regularly for writing documentation, helping me think about problems. That I found it more and more useful actually, so it's pretty cool. So hopefully that answers the question. So okay, let's take out all auth from here. All auth, because it could have been the all auth middleware that was blowing up. Maybe, I don't know. We're gonna just remove all the all auth stuff. It's just all gone. Okay. And I guess to be consistent, let's delete that. All right, so let's try it again. Whoops. Oh, boo. Oh, boo. Yeah, shoot. Okay, we got more stuff to remove. I must have all auth in other places. Let's go look. User signed up. What did we do with that signal? Oh, okay. Interesting. Do I care anymore? I don't think I care anymore. I had this functionality that every time a new user signed up, I would get a message in Slack. Really, don't care. I used to check it, but I'm kind of over that. Because I have some other ways to, like, I can go in the admin and I can check some reports. There are some there's some good NeoVim setup things. What is it called? There's like a bootstrapping NeoVim configuration from TJ DeVries has it. I'm drawing a blank on it. If I think of it, I'll let you know. But there's a good one out there that I recommend. I started my NeoVim config from that, and I've done a lot since then. But it was a good one. Kickstart, yeah, that was the one. All right, let's get rid of this. So we're gonna get rid of that. Probably need to get rid of our gateway. All right, I'm gonna make some notes because I'm gonna forget some of this stuff for sure. So let's edit this list. We'll say remove Slack gateway. We don't need that anymore. I just don't need to send stuff to Slack. I just don't care. All right. So that's one example of all auth. Let's look for more. We have, what is this? Okay, we're gonna redo this whole area. So this is just a comment, so that's okay to leave at the moment. That could have been definitely what blew things up, is that I was including the URLs. That's certainly a contributing factor. Okay, I think that's all the all auth that matters. The rest of it is just comments. And we can even go so far as UV remove Django all auth. Like make it so it's not even installed. I've been coding 2002, so long time. That's when I started going. I went to college, and I didn't actually. So I didn't do any coding in high school. I didn't have that opportunity to do any coding there. And it was not something that I picked up as a hobby as a kid, like a teenager. So, but I knew I wanted my objective going to college was at the time. It's changed as I went to college, but was to become a video game programmer. I was a big gamer as a kid, and I thought like, oh, it'd be so sweet to make video games. So I went to school with the intention of becoming a game programmer. Did not end up doing that for a wide variety of reasons, but had no knowledge in advance of what programming was like until I got to school. Okay, so did this actually fire up? It did. So now I want to retry the sign in flow, see if it works. Let's go back. So we're gonna I'm gonna imagine that I'm an existing user. I'm logging in. I'm doing sign in at testing.com, and I'm gonna say start planning. It's gonna take me into my email. I've got the link here. Make sure I get all of it. We'll go to the link at port 8000. Localhost 8000. Dang it. Why did you redirect me again? Okay. We got some other stuff to figure out too, because its accounts login doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, sure. There's like so many reasons I didn't get into gaming. Like the thing that dissuaded me was it's just a crazy time commitment, and it just didn't make sense. That wasn't the life that I wanted to live. I wasn't into gaming that much. So let's look for accounts login. There's probably some string somewhere. No, I don't believe that for a minute. Settings, login, core. What is, okay. What is sending me to accounts login? Something here. Oh, cool. Glad you're here, Shork. I do a lot of Django. Fast, thanks for subscribing. Appreciate it. So, the accounts login, is that coming from Django itself? Is that like the default where they want to send you there? And do I not have my default? I have this set. What's going on? Log in redirect URL, which I already have. Is log in redirect URL right there. And core dashboard. Oh, that's after that's after a login though. That's not like, so something is sending me to accounts login. All right, let's oh, no problem. This particular SaaS is a homeschooling application. So I have 2 kids. We homeschool them. It's a planning app for my wife to like set the schedule for the kids. It does a bunch of dynamic stuff that she wanted, and it's pretty slick actually. It builds a schedule that like every day kind of updates automatically. A lot of the homeschooling apps out there, not that you would necessarily know, don't do that. So they kind of like statically set a calendar, and then you have to move a bunch of crap around every time you want to change things. It's pretty awful. So this one works differently. So like every day that rolls over, if there's things you didn't do that day, then you just roll to the next day. Okay. What am I trying to do in Django? Why is my app sending me to accounts login? Is that a default setting? And my brain is, I feel like it is. Yes. Okay. Whoa. ChatGPT, get it together. Why are you going so slowly? Hmm. This particular project I've been at since, well, we just looked at the terms of service on it. So this is the URL for it. It's the name of the app is School Desk. The only domain that I could get on .app was the School Desk. But if we go down to the terms of service page, I've not updated this in a very long time. And you can see it's from September 6th, 2020. I think I started like all of the planning at the beginning of 2020 and finally went live with it around this time. So what is that, 5 years at this point? Pretty good long time. It has, I guess a selling point for me is that my wife continues to use it year after year. So I've designed something that she is happy with and that works for her family. So that's good. So if nothing else, and that's not totally the case, I have a few other customers and they seem to keep using it. So I think it's working. The challenge is that it's like a hard thing to get into. You have to commit to quite a lot of setup and then give it a chance. So it's not a sticky product in that regard. Yeah, it is pretty sweet. Okay, so login URL. Why were we not getting this on this app? Do I have login URL to find somewhere? I don't. Nuts. Okay, I guess we're gonna put login URL equal login, but it still doesn't make sense of what is going on. That do I need to put a slash at the start? I don't know. I'm gonna try this, and then I'm gonna be worried about my other app that I messed it up. In which case we will go fix it. So now I've added the allow thing, which should, in theory, let this view work. So I think what was happening maybe is that the middleware, my Django denied middleware was running, and because there was no authorizer on it, the middleware, like, how much should I describe? There's some stuff that will block it in the middleware and send you to the login page if you're not authenticated. And I think that's what was happening. So I bet if we try this now with maybe even the same link, because I think these links are good for an hour, right? So nobody is logged in. Come back over here. I really got to fix this so that it doesn't, so I don't and stop typing localhost over and over again. Is the app running again? Let me start it and stop it. I don't remember. I don't want to be misled. Okay. So trying it again. Aha! That was a problem. We didn't have the allow on the route, which now I'm worried that why did Journey Inbox work? What was it about Journey Inbox that did that? This is a separate problem I'm okay with for now, where account logout is this one that we're supposed to have. We should be using the actual logout, so let's go ahead and look for it. So let's search the app for account logout. There's probably only 1 or 2 spots. Scar, thanks for subscribing, appreciate it. Account logout. It's in the base, just 1 spot, nice. So we'll just put logout here. And that should make this work. Okay, cool. We are in. So we've got most of this app working, or most of this functionality working. Gosh, are we just kind of like just generally done with the feature? There's got to be something else here. It took maybe it was all the investigation I had to do for the other one that caused us to be more problematic. Let's just kind of check through some of these things. So we've got Django Sesame. We have pointed the login page to the sign-in page. That's there. Come on. Go. We have replaced the sign-in page. Oh, I guess we need to like remove. What else do we need to do? We need to remove the old templates. Those aren't needed anymore. Is that it? We replaced the sign up page. So that's done. We didn't update the session age, so let's go find that. That one's pretty quick. We've got it set to 30 days. I'm going to bump it to a year. And we validated that last time on Journey Inbox, so I don't feel any need to go check and confirm that. I'm like really confident that's the right change. So cool. That's done. Yeah, okay. Let's take a peek at what templates are that, in case I'm missing something. No? So let's go over templates account, and we've got verification. That one I did have. That's what became the check email one. We have a base. We had to override the base to get the style of my site. We have the login and sign up, and then we have the emails. Okay, so yeah, those are done. So we can do an RMRF. This is dangerous, right? On account, not accounts. These are the ones that came from the framework. Okay. So then we can say, yeah, you're done. While we're here, I talked about the Slack gateway. So Slack gateway. Does anything else use this? Fast is a personal. Okay, let me see. Is a personal website a bad starting project? I guess my question to you would be, what are you going to put on it? So I have a website, shameless plug time, where I put some stuff there. I've not written much this past year. I've just opted more for, like video content recently. But for a long time, I wrote a bunch of actual articles and things. Frankly, this is something I did put analytics on, and I have noticed a severe downward trend in like personal website usage. So if you're trying to get people like go look at stuff, people just like aren't doing that. And I don't think it's just me. I think I've been hearing from a lot of people that have personal websites, or what I've been observing on the internet is that these are just being used less. So to Shork's comment, I mean, it is a playground where you can make as many mistakes as you want to. But if you're trying to do it to like also show people something or showcase something, maybe not the best tool to build up portfolio. And depending on what you build, it may not stretch you enough. Like if this site is built with Hugo, for example, so I'm not actually like I'm doing more content generation than I am building something. And so if I was to build this with Django, though, I don't know that how much I would really be learning. Like it's a lot of these would be kind of static pages or static pages with some amount of rendering of content. There's not a lot of meat on this project, I think. So like I certainly won't say it's be a crappy idea. There's probably a lot of cool things you might be able to do. But if you have a project in mind that has a more tangible goal, that might be more motivational. I have a lot of people who come to me. I run a local meetup, and I see new people all the time who come to events, a local Python events, and they know nothing about coding. And they're like, "How do I get started?" And so what I tell them over and over again is, or not the same person, but every time I encounter people like this, I tell them, do a project, because in doing a project, you will push through in case you're like are getting stuck at a learning point. Vas, I'm gonna pass on that just because I want to get this done. I'm already like, we're coming up on 3 hours and I'm running out of gas. So I want to make sure I get kind of put a bow on some of this. I don't think we're going to get the test pass, or I might be able to copy over some of the passing. I'd love to get like, it'd be really cool if I could get this feature done. I also want to spend a couple minutes to go over to Journey Inbox and figure out, did I screw up the login process by not doing the allow there? That's possible. So I'm trying to find, is anything using this Slack gateway anymore, or is it just tests? I think it's just tests. So let's go ahead and delete these things. So let's go over here. We are going to just delete the Slack gateway entirely. In the Slack gateway itself, we have the Slack webhook setting. So let's go find that really quickly and just ditch it. So I don't need the Slack webhook anymore. Just not going to use it. And there's also the secret that we don't need to pull anymore. Actually, I can. I don't know that I'm going to get to it tonight, but if you search my playlist for Kamal, that's actually, we're looking at a Kamal config file right now. You will absolutely see my operations process for how I deploy changes and stuff. It's all through Kamal. Basically, the short version is, Brooke, thanks for the subscribe. The short version is I do Kamal deploy, and it builds a Docker image, it publishes it to a registry, and then my actual server pulls that down and does some restart work there. So that's the short version. I'm not going to get into it too deep tonight, though. Hopefully that's enough of an explanation. Whoops. Crap. Where do we go? Slack. What? Oh, wait. Oh, come on. Slack. There. So we've got rid of the hook from everything except this file. So I think we're good to delete the webhook file now, or the whole gateway file now. And there's a little bit more Slack stuff somewhere in this test models. We need to get this out of here. So a sign up sends a message to Slack. I don't care. Go away. One fewer test to deal with. Is there any other Slack? No. Okay, cool. All right, let's run the test, see how we're doing. Because I want to be able to steal tests from different areas if I can, if we're not at full coverage. I think all the tests should pass. Whoops, failure. Ah! Okay. These are things for, yeah. Okay. So we took out Django all auth, and we were quietly depending upon some of it, and now we have to correct that. So, let's go fix it. So test is the core test views. Core test views. And this is the Office onboarding stuff. What's this test? It's this one. Email address set. What? Email. Not in there. Okay. Inside of here, I guess. It's in the actual production code. It is okay. Core views. Okay. So let's close this. Core views 647, I think it said. Something like that. Yeah, there it is. This is just like a helper page to help me here. The nice part about this is like, all right, so with Django all auth, the email was set in a separate table, and like you had to join it here. But because I'm switching to just a much simpler configuration, I think we can fix all of this just by changing this to user.email, because that's what we're going to be setting. That's what was in our what was it? The form, the sign in form, where it does that get or create. It's just setting the email field. So that's that. Nose test now pass. What was the other one that was failing? Test middleware. Accounts test middleware. Accounts test middleware. What is blowing up here? All right, we're going to need the account middleware. I'm sure there's something that I put in there that shouldn't be. Settings, account gate, allow list. Settings, account gate, allow list. Oh. Okay. Hold on, y'all can't see that very well. What's going on? Control W R, rotate. There we go. Okay. What's blowing up in here? Test allow list resolves. Test allow list resolves. Huh? Control WR. Okay, so here's the test. This will raise a 404 if a path isn't right. So we have this setting. So we're basically, I have a setting that's checking what. All right, so a little bit of context here. What is this thing? I have a middleware that says there are some pages that I want users to be able to get to no matter what. After your subscription is over for this service, if you wanted to go, maybe you failed to make a payment for some reason, but you still want to use the service, you should be able to get to the subscription page so that you can actually get back to working. And so this test is supposed to run through these, and all of them should pass. I don't know what changed about this though that would make this fail. So that's what I was looking at, the settings. We have the account. Let's go back to this list. Oh, I see. This isn't valid anymore. We took out Django all auth. So if we change this to logout, which is now, actually, this should be this, because that's what we put in the project URLs, right? We have, instead of using accounts logout from Django all auth, we need to just have the plain logout path. That's what we're really interested in. So now this should pass. All right, cool. Make test. Let's check how we're doing on coverage. We're missing some stuff, but we also had some failing tests, so the coverage is going to be a different story after this, I think. Still missing some stuff though. All right. Why does this matter? You might wonder. It matters because with this project, it's just me, so I need tests as like a safety net. Especially on package upgrades and things. If there are things that are in there that would blow up some code, I don't want to be stuck having to fix that stuff or dealing with customer requests because I did something boneheaded. So I just set myself a self-enforced limit of you must test all your code. And it's all in stuff that we just did. So I have a feeling if I just steal the tests from the Journey Inbox project, we will get this covered. Let's do that. Let's go over to account test forms. Should be one of these files. So here's the sign in form that we just did. Let's take all of this stuff, copy it over, and we're going to go account test use. We'll make a new file, test forms. We will paste all the content and delete that. This should be homeschool instead of journal. Those should still work. And I think all of these tests should pass. Nope. What? Oh, all right. Journey Inbox. Sorry. Homeschool uses a different test case class that we have to use in order to make this work right. So from homeschool. Oh, come on, Matt. Homeschool test import test case. And then we will subclass test case. I think that's what will make this pass. Close. Close. Dang it. So, all right. What's wrong here is I want to use the mail out box as a fixture, but I'm using a test case based class, and PyTest doesn't play well with fixtures in this way, so we can't do it in the same style. So let's look for fixture. Phooey, come on. There's a way to say what fixture we want to use with this style, and I don't remember what it is. Crap. All right, let's go. ChatGPT can probably figure out this faster. In PyTest, with a unit test based class, how can I use a fixture? There's something different. It was like you have to mark it some way. No, you're wrong, ChatGPT. This is wrong. Sometimes it's not smart. PyTest. I have not tried either of those ones yet. I have access to them at work, but I just tend to default to the OpenAI models, for better or for worse. Okay, so let's search for unit test. And yep. Here's fixtures. How do we access it though? Use fixtures, that's great, but I want to access the thing. Accessing other fixtures. Fixture. You know what? Okay. Forget this. Let's do it this. I'm going to use an actual unit test class. It's going to fail. It's going to go back to you didn't use the mark thing. So we can do that. So there's a mark to use. So it's PyTest. Well, we just had it over here. Mark, use fixtures, DjangoDB, I think it was. And then we need to import PyTest. Whoops. Was it not DjangoDB? It's in this list somewhere. Django. Oh, there's DB. It's just DB. DB? Okay. This is not the best or most consistent way to do this, but it's gonna work for now. I should come back and clean up the test suite for School Desk, but again, to our earlier point, like some of these things it's not worth correcting the whole world at once. Let's run the test. That should make the form tests coverage go away. Then we can get the test task. So I'm gonna let that run. Let's go to accounts, test tasks. And we want to get this one. Oh, we've got the views. Oh, let's maybe just do the views one, because that's going to hit the other one. So that feels good. Views. Nope, it's not going to be in here. It's going to be core views. Core test views, test index, test sign in. Here it is. We basically just need to test the post. Okay, so we don't have a test views for this, do we? Yeah, we don't. Okay. Class test sign in. And I'm going to paste in this. Here's the response. We have different tools available to us from, well, I'm not using it, so never mind. From Django shortcuts, import reverse. Nope, from Django URLs, import reverse. And then we will bring in import PyTest, and we will do at pytest.mark.useFixtures. No. This is a regular class. Yeah, use. Oh, Matt, you just put that. We are not reversing on index. We want to do it on sign in. Okay. So we need the fixture. Otherwise, I don't think this is going to work without the fixture. Yep. So it's a little hard to see behind me here. It wants to use a fixture. And the fixture just like sets up the database. So I guess I'll show like what the normal test case class is doing. It's depending on Django Test Plus. And in Journey Inbox, I didn't use this tool. I just instead used PyTest Django as is. And Test Plus does some stuff that's convenient, but it uses a unit test style class. So, and I actually found there are some inconveniences about using it. It doesn't play well with PyTest fixtures, frankly. So what I really wanted to do is a different kind of setup, and notice the key differences between like line 12 and line 21 here is the use of a subclassing test class or not. And in order to make this work, with PyTest Django out of the box, like if your test uses the database at all, you're supposed to use this DB fixture, which is your way of saying like, I depend upon a database, please make it available. I have methods of working around that in Journey Inbox with this, but I don't think I have that set up with a homeschool app, and I'm not sure if it'll play nicely with everything, so I'm not going to mess with it right now. So I'm trying to get the test passing because I really do want to go check on Journey Inbox and make sure that the other stuff is working or not. Oh, boo. What's failing? All right. Accounts, views, 26 and 31. All right, so let's go there. I think we're at that point. Accounts, views, 26. Oh, I don't have a, okay. And 31. Oh, we don't have this either. Okay, fine. These are things we can check really quickly. Test unauthenticated. We should really just get a 200. I just called them test OK over here. Okay. Not going to try and do some other test class. So we'll just take this and get rid of the data. We don't need the data, and make this a get. And then we want to assert that the response is a 200. And then we want the same test, actually let's make that sure that passes first, otherwise it might be missing, yeah, it needs the database fixture. Okay, database, we want, dang it, the same test, but for the check email thing. Check email. This will be check email. Run that. It passes. Make test. This should get us all the test coverage. So it's just a sanity check that basically we have proof that every view in the app runs at least at some point. All right, let's do a quick look at the diff. And then I want to jump over to Journey Inbox, play around with the login view, see if it behaves the same way. If it doesn't locally, I want to also test on like production, make sure it's not broken there. Production being another name for the live site. And see what's going on. Because I think what could have happened is like maybe I've broken all ability to log in on the site, which would not be great. All right, but looking at this diff first, we cleaned out the Slack stuff. We have updated the tasks, so we have the magic link generation stuff. We have the templates for this. We saw all this work. Nothing says Journey Inbox in there, so that's good. We have the tests we just did. The views for we now have the sign in view and the check email view. Very simple. Those are about as straightforward as you get with a form and just a regular render view. Got rid of the gateway. Got rid of the gateway test. Fixed that test. Fixed up the model to get rid of the gateway. Got rid of some more tests. Cleaned out Django all auth. Added in Sesame configuration. Set the login URL, which isn't going to be all accounts login. It's now just going to be login. Updated the allow list. Created some URLs. And removed all auth and added Sesame. And then we got rid of the templates. And updated the other templates. Okay. I think that's everything. Feel good about it. So let's try and commit it, see if there's any like lint that gets found, and then we'll have, I think this will be, I still want to like have this all in one branch, and maybe we'll do the other aspect of the actual like onboarding cleanup next time and put this all in the same branch. So switch sign in to use email. Okay, and then we'll do git push set upstream origin sign in. Should push that up to GitHub and make it so that we can create a pull request based on it. We did remove the Slack gateway. Let's go open this tab and make sure we actually get the pull request created. All right, so that's good. We got that code up. It's at least there. Let's go check on Journey Inbox, and then we'll call it. I'm going to call it out for that because I've been going for quite a while, and I'm definitely like running on empty. So I copied that code, projects, URLs. We have login view here. I thought that I tested this like end to end, and I thought it worked. So that's what I'm surprised about. So let's go over to the journal repo. Let's back to main because I merged it, and then pull that code. So we're on the latest from that perspective. From here, we should be able to run make, and it fires everything up. So now our port 8000 is a different app, totally different app. So let's go back to port 8000. We're back on Journey Inbox. So we should be able to do is it working at testing.com. This is going to create a new user. I have not created this one before. And we should be able to say start journaling, and it's going to give this simple message because we don't have this all cleaned up yet and looking spiffy. But we've got this, this is like the same style login link as we had on the other one. And I thought I checked this, and I thought it passed, like didn't get blocked by stuff. See, it did. So what the heck is the difference? Why is that one working and the other one's not? Did I forget something? Did I like, or I do have Django denied on this project, don't I? Maybe I don't. No, I do. So what's going on? Is my middleware not there? Settings. I have the denied middleware. Maybe it's my middleware position. No, because I put it, the Django denied middleware needs to go after the authentication middleware. That's for sure. So that feels like the right placement immediately after that. Where's the middleware placed on this project? Whoops. Settings. Middleware. Denied middleware is way down here. I'm like so confused about what was actually allowing this. It makes me a little like slightly nervous that Journey Inbox is not protected in the way that I think it should be. Because clearly we saw two different behaviors, right? We just witnessed this one logged in properly, and until I did the allow on the other one, it did not log in properly. But this is the one that seems wrong. Like based on what I know about my own package, Django denied, the fact that this thing over here, this path, does not have an allow wrapped around it, seems wrong. It seems like it shouldn't have gotten in. Seems like it should have gotten rejected. So I don't get it. I don't get what's going on. So do I accept it as is for now and just file in and like, why does the login view not need Django denied? I think that's what I'm going to do. I think my brain is too far gone to be thinking deeply about this topic. So let's do this. Let's do, go to the journal issues, and we're going to write a new issue, and we're going to say, why does login not seem to need the allow decorator? What the heck is going on? School desk was failing until I applied the allow decorator on login view as view. But that was not necessary here. Okay, I don't know. We're not gonna solve it tonight. So I'm gonna wrap there. The code's up if you want to check it out. There's stuff. Did I break a template? I'd love for you to say more. I don't know what I'm talking. What I broke. You're going to fix the email template in School Desk. Didn't I do that? I'm missing something, John. And your brain is probably sharper than mine at this point. So, see ya, Short. Thanks for coming. I assume isn't that what GG means? Does it mean gotta go? I'm so bad at acronyms. Yeah, I don't know what template I might need to still update, John. So if I missed it, let me know. So where do we go from here? We're going to next time we will take a look at that onboarding stuff. My plan is scrap all of that wizard business, and I want to do one simple page that captures every piece of data. Thanks, Short. Thanks for the explanation. That captures like all the data that's needed and do it all of one submission of like, here's your student, here's their grade level, here's a course they're in, here's the task they're in. That doesn't make sense right now. Don't worry about it. But it's going to be one tight form that a person is like, fill this out, then you're ready to go, or you're at least ready to see how the app works. And the difference is right now, like I think I was showing it earlier. I'm not going to bring it back up. When you got logged in as a school desk user, which we saw with when we did the sign-in test thing, was I could click around a bunch of places. And I think what I want to do, not because it's like it's a focused experience. I want this data to be present because I don't want to allow people to come across a bunch of like empty data screens. Having to plan for all those empty data screens is frankly annoying and can be confusing. Like it would be much better if just like you fill out the data that's necessary and you're kind of like locked in. You can't do anything else. So that's going to be something that I will probably do with a middleware of, have you completed the wizard or something like that. Maybe it's something that I won't, like some sort of state that will set on the profile of like, I don't know what I'll call it yet, but some kind of Boolean attribute where until you've gone through that page and you've submitted the data successfully, you don't get that flag cleared. And that flag we can put in a chunk of middleware that will not let you do anything else in the app until you do that one thing. There might be some complications to that because there might be some exceptions of, are you allowed to log in, log out? Like we have to make sure that those kind of pathways work. That always gets a little dicey when you're really restricting access to other things. But I think that's where I want to go. And I want to have it to be like a total screen takeover. So like there won't even be any temptation to try and click anywhere else because all the user will get is a very personalized welcome, fill out this form before you start, and then go. That's the vision that I have for what's next. And I think that's what we'll work on next time. So please do me a favor if you haven't already, leave a like, subscribe, whatever. Thank you for joining in. There's tons of other ways you can connect with me. I'm on X. I'm as MB Lehman, same as my GitHub handle here. You can check out my website, mattlehman.com. I've got a book that you can read there for free, or you can buy a print copy and support me. That would be awesome as well, but no pressure to do that. But thank you for all the chatter today. It was a good fun discussion, and I'll see you next time. Take care.